5:17 local time. Sonar contact bearing 087, fast screws. No music, no dramatic buildup. Just the quiet hum of conditioned air inside the Combat Information Center and the steady glow of multifunction displays. 3 seconds later, the next call comes through. Torpedo in the water. Repeat, torpedo in the water. The words land with absolute clarity. Across the carrier strike group, the formation begins to shift without a single raised voice. At the center of the screen, the Nimitz-class carrier holds course for the briefest instant. Then the helm responds. Right full rudder, all ahead flank. There is no panic on deck, only a seamless change from routine to action. General quarters sounds. Hatches seal. White lighting gives way to red. Every sailor moves with the precision of something practiced 100 times before. Off the port side, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer angles inward, placing itself between the carrier and the incoming threat. Its AN/S QQ-89 anti-submarine warfare system shifts from passive watch to full engagement. A sharp, active ping tears through the water. Second stretch. Sonar keeps tracking it. Fast, shallow, closing. Estimated speed, 45 knots and rising. Range, under 5,000 yards. This is no drifting contact, not floating debris, not marine life. This is a wake-homing torpedo. Somewhere below the surface, an Iranian diesel-electric submarine has fired with clear intent. No warning, no radio call, no declaration, just metal moving through water at deadly speed. The carrier leans slightly as the helm answers again. 20 degrees to starboard, speed climbing beyond 30 knots. Torpedoes are a game of math. Bearing rate, closing speed, angle on the bow. Change the equation fast enough and you stay alive. Launch Nixie. From the stern of the escorting destroyer, a towed acoustic decoy drops into the sea. The AN/SLQ-25 countermeasure system begins broadcasting a false sound profile, louder, closer, and more tempting than the carrier's own propellers. The torpedo listens. The water fills with noise. Active sonar pulses again, stronger this time. The return comes back clean and unmistakable. The weapon is still tracking, still adjusting. Time to impact, 90 seconds. On the carrier's flight deck, aircraft handlers pause for less than a breath, then continue locking down ordnance and fuel lines. Survival has its own choreography, and it does not stop for fear. Below deck, reactor output increases to feed propulsion. The ship vibrates as it drives faster ahead. The strike group commander studies the tactical display without changing his tone. Maintain formation integrity. Execute ASW response plan Bravo. No emotion, no wasted words. This is exactly what they train for. 5:18. Sonar, second transient. Possible launch splash, bearing 085. The room tightens. Another acoustic signature enters the water. 2 torpedoes now, not a warning. A deliberate strike. The first weapon begins to drift off its original line. The decoy is working, but only partly. Its wake-homing seeker searches for the strongest sound in the sea, and the carrier is still the biggest source of noise out there. On the destroyer's deck, helicopter crews move at a run. The MH-60R Seahawk is already spinning, rotors biting into the heavy air. Sonobuoys are stacked and ready. Mk-54 lightweight torpedoes hang armed beneath the fuselage. Engines rise. The helicopter lifts. From above, the strike group looks steady, almost calm. Below the surface, the water is chaos. Impact window, 40 seconds. The destroyer shifts once more, crossing slightly ahead of the carrier's track. It is not a sacrifice. It is geometry, acoustic confusion, changing aspect angles, forcing the incoming weapon to make a choice. Beneath the waves, the Nixie decoy screams electronically. The first torpedo turns, 5 degrees. Then 10, then more. The sonar operator does not exhale until the bearing rate confirms it. First weapon diverted, bearing moving away. But nobody celebrates. The second torpedo does not turn. Second weapon still holding carrier solution. Range falling, 20 seconds. The carrier cuts harder to starboard. Its wake boils white and violent behind it. Every system is engaged now. Sonar, decoys, maneuvering, helicopter airborne. And somewhere below, the submarine that fired is already going deeper, already changing position, already trying to disappear. At 5:19 local time, the first torpedo fades harmlessly into the false noise of the decoy. The second keeps coming. The ocean does not care about politics. The ocean does not care about escalation. It only measures distance, and that distance is closing. 5:19 local time. Second weapon still tracking, range 1800 yards, bearing steady. The carrier keeps turning. Massive screws dig into the water, throwing a wide curtain of white turbulence across the surface. Speed stays above 30 knots. Around her, the strike group stretches slightly as escorts adjust position with careful precision, avoiding each other's acoustic shadows. On the destroyer's sonar display, the torpedo is no longer just a moving line. It feels almost like a personality, aggressive, correcting its course, listening to everything in the water. Deploy additional countermeasure. Another acoustic decoy drops into the carrier's wake. The sea fills with layers of false signals, echoes, simulated propellers, harmonic distortions, designed to lure a seeker that was built for one purpose: find the loudest target and follow it. For a moment, the torpedo hesitates. Then it shifts 5 degrees off bearing. 10. Second weapon deviating. No celebration, just confirmation. Second weapon now tracking decoy. Time to closest approach. 30 seconds. The carrier holds speed. The rudder eases slightly, widening the gap between the ship and the growing cloud of artificial sound behind her. Geometry again, always geometry. At 5:20, sonar reports the detonation. A heavy, muffled shock rolls through the water column. Distant, contained. The decoy did exactly what it was meant to do. 2 weapons launched, 2 defeated without impact. But inside the Combat Information Center, nobody relaxes. Because torpedoes don't appear without submarines, and submarines rarely fire only once. Shift to prosecution. The destroyer transitions from defense to the hunt. The AN/SQQ-89 system switches fully to active sonar. A powerful ping drives downward, cutting through the thermocline layers that minutes ago helped conceal the attacker. Surface noise fades from the display. The seabed begins to map itself in digital returns. Then the call comes. Possible submarine contact, bearing 086, depth approximately 100 feet. Slow screws detected. The submarine didn't dive deep immediately. It's still inside the engagement zone, likely maneuvering after launch, trying to reposition for escape. The acoustic profile sharpens. Blade count, shaft rate, short bursts of cavitation, intelligence overlays appear across the screen. The analysis begins, forming a match. Diesel-electric submarine, small displacement. Acoustic signature trending toward an Iranian Ghadir-class coastal submarine. Estimated cost about $58 million. Designed for shallow water ambush, built for narrow sea lanes and choke points. Extremely dangerous when hidden. But now it's not hidden. Above the destroyer, the MH-60R Seahawk reaches its first drop point. Buoys away. Sonobuoys splash into the sea in a staggered pattern, forming a widening acoustic grid. Data streams back instantly to the destroyer's combat system. Passive lines begin triangulating. Active pulses refine the picture. The helicopter lowers further. Dipping sonar deployed. The sensor dome sinks beneath the aircraft, entering the water like a spear of electronics. The operator listens carefully. Then, contact solid. Bearing 086, depth 115 feet, speed increasing. The submarine accelerates. That's a mistake. In shallow water, speed creates noise. Noise reveals identity. The destroyer's tactical picture tightens. Fire control solutions start calculating automatically as the range continues to shrink. The strike group commander speaks calmly. Clear the helo for engagement. At 0523, the helicopter banks slightly, lining up with the confirmed contact. Cleared hot. A Mark 54 lightweight torpedo drops cleanly from the Seahawk. It enters the water with a muted splash, then activates beneath the surface. Now the hunter has become the hunted. The submarine reacts immediately. Speed increases again. A hard turn to port as it attempts to dive deeper. But the continental shelf here limits its options. This is not open ocean. This is restricted maneuvering space. The Mark 54 switches to active tracking. The submarine's acoustic signature spikes, rapid adjustments, ballast shifting, propulsion surging. On the destroyer, another weapon prepares. Recommend surface launch. Approved. From the destroyer's launcher, an ASROC anti-submarine rocket fires. The weapon arcs briefly above the water before splashing down near the submarine's predicted escape path. 2 American torpedoes now close in beneath the surface. The submarine's captain has only seconds. Countermeasures deploy, small improvised acoustic bursts, but they're weak, ineffective. The first Mark 54 closes rapidly. Impact in 5, 4, 3. Sonar operators lean closer to their screens, not from fear, but from focus. 2, 1. At 5:27 local time, the ocean shudders. There is no fireball, no cinematic blast, just a powerful pressure wave racing through the water. On the sonar display, the propulsion signature vanishes. In its place, irregular metallic echoes, fragments. Debris field expanding. Contact lost. No further screw noise detected. A thin trace of oil begins rising toward the surface. Inside the Combat Information Center, no one moves unnecessarily. Confirmation always comes before conclusions. Minutes pass. Sonar remains silent. No propulsion sounds. No emergency ballast release. No sign of a counterattack. The submarine that once cost roughly $58 million is no longer maneuvering. Still, the strike group does not treat the moment as a victory. In any engagement, the first question is never celebration. The first question is intent, and intent has not yet been answered. 5:28 local time. Primary submarine contact no longer maneuvering, debris field confirmed, oil trace expanding. No applause follows the report, only data. The tactical display still shows red markers because torpedoes never appear without orders behind them, and submarines rarely operate without support or awareness from somewhere else. The carrier holds flank speed for another minute before easing slightly. The rudder returns to a steady heading. The formation begins compressing back into its protective geometry, escorts sliding into position with careful spacing. But the search is not over. Expand search grid. Assume secondary contact until disproven. The destroyer widens its active sonar sweep. Another escort moves inward from the outer screen, tightening acoustic coverage. Above the water, a second helicopter lifts from the cruiser's deck, rotors cutting through the humid morning air. Sonobuoys drop one by one in disciplined intervals. A detection lattice forms across the surface, layer upon layer of sensors listening below. Gradually, the turbulence settles. The debris field begins drifting upward. Insulation fragments, twisted pieces of metal, small columns of trapped air rising silently. The Mark 54 detonation was decisive. Across the strike group's network, intelligence overlays begin appearing. Satellite tasking checks coastal bases. Signals teams scan for unusual transmissions. Data analysts watch for sudden spikes in communications. Nothing. No distress message, no open channel broadcast, no claim of engagement, just silence. In naval operations, silence can be the most complicated variable of all. Recommend battle damage assessment pattern. Approved. The first MH-60R lowers again over the water. This time, the mission is documentation. High-resolution electro-optical cameras record the expanding oil sheen. Debris is photographed, coordinates logged, timestamps secured, every detail archived. Because in modern naval operations, proof matters just as much as precision. 5:34. New transient contact. Bearing 092. Every head in CIC turns back towards sonar. Classify. The signal flickers, appears, fades, then returns again. For a moment, the room tightens. Seconds stretch. Possible biological source, no propulsion signature. The ocean behaves strangely after violent pressure waves. Shock fronts shift thermal layers. Cavitation echoes linger. Marine life alters its course. Sound bends where it normally travels straight. Still, no one assumes safety. Another active ping goes out. The return comes back clear. No machinery rhythm. No structured mechanical noise. The faint contact dissolves. False alarm. For now, the only confirmed hostile presence in the water is no longer operational. Above deck, flight operations begin to resume slowly. Aircraft that had paused mid-cycle start moving again. Catapult crews secure equipment and prepare for the next sequence. Readiness remains elevated. Condition 2. Not a full wartime surge, but far from routine. Because escalation does not require a surviving submarine. It only requires a response somewhere else. The strike group command shifts its attention outward. Expand ISR horizon. Monitor coastal emissions. An E-2D Hawkeye climbs higher overhead, its radar sweeping deeper inland. Electronic warfare teams begin monitoring Iranian naval frequencies. Analysts search for unusual command traffic that might follow an event like this. If the attack was coordinated, there should be chatter. There isn't, and that absence is not reassuring. It is strategic. 5:42. Oil concentration on the surface increases. Small fragments drift into view. One composite panel carries a partial serial marking. The image is transmitted instantly through secure channels. Preliminary identification aligns with materials known from Iranian Ghadir-class construction. The attribution line grows clearer. This was not an accident. This was the deployment of a state asset. The carrier strike group reduces speed to operational tempo. Damage control teams complete their inspections. Zero impact damage. No hull breach. No interruption to flight deck operations. 2 incoming torpedoes diverted. 1 submarine eliminated. All of it within roughly 10 minutes. The efficiency is clinical. The implications are enormous. Inside CIC, the strike group commander speaks quietly. Log engagement as hostile act. Maintain defensive posture. No further kinetic response without directive. Calm. Disciplined. Escalation remains tightly controlled. Because the unthinkable has already happened. An Iranian submarine fired live torpedoes at a U.S. aircraft carrier and was destroyed. What follows now will not be decided by sonar angles or maneuvering speeds. It will be decided by strategy. 600. Surface picture clear. Subsurface picture stable. Airspace uncontested. But the strike group does not disperse. Not yet. Instead, the formation tightens. Cruisers adjust their missile coverage arcs. Destroyers widen their anti-submarine patrol lanes. Beneath the carrier, friendly submarines shift positions silently, forming an unseen shield. No announcement is made. It doesn't need to be. Any sensor watching from the shoreline will notice the change. The carrier remains exactly where it was, unmoved, untouched, fully operational. The submarine that launched the attack is gone, but the ship it targeted continues its flight operations without interruption. Jets launch on schedule, because presence is power, and uninterrupted presence is dominance. As the sun climbs higher, the oil slick slowly thins. Debris drifts farther apart. The ocean begins absorbing the physical evidence, but the strike group's logs do not. 517, torpedo detected in the water. 527, hostile contact neutralized. 10 minutes, a decision that cost roughly $58 million erased in less time than a commercial break. Yet the silence that follows feels heavier than the explosion beneath the sea. Because somewhere beyond the horizon, someone gave the order to launch, and someone now understands what it cost. 6:12 local time. The ocean looks calm again, almost too calm. Inside the Carrier Strike Group's Combat Information Center, the tactical display no longer shows immediate underwater threats. The debris field has drifted away. The oil sheen continues to fade. No propulsion signatures remain beneath the surface, but the screen is far from empty because Escalation does not move through water alone. SIGINT update. Iranian coastal radar emissions increasing. The report is delivered without drama. Electronic warfare teams aboard the cruiser begin cataloging the new signals. Radar systems along the Iranian coast flicker to life. Active for a moment, then quiet, then active again. Search patterns expand. Surface tracking radars sweep areas beyond normal maritime traffic routes. They are not searching blindly. They are searching deliberately. Fast attack craft departing Bandar Abbas Harbor. Satellite imagery confirms it. 3 small missile boats accelerate out of port. Their wake lines stretch narrow and sharp behind them. The formation is loose, but their direction is clear. They are moving. Not yet close enough to matter tactically, but moving. The strike group commander doesn't rush to respond. Maintain defensive posture. Do not close distance. This is the escalation window. The most dangerous moment isn't the torpedo launch itself. It's the hour afterward, when pride, pressure, and perception collide. Above the formation, an E-2D Hawkeye climbs higher, expanding the radar horizon. Airspace remains clear. No Iranian aircraft have launched. Even so, the destroyers elevate their Aegis systems to full readiness. SM-2 and SM-6 interceptors shift from standby to active tracking status. Fire control channels align with coastal batteries, without locking. Not a threat posture, a message posture. The carrier continues forward at steady speed. She does not turn away from the coast. She does not accelerate out of the region. She simply remains. Moments later, a coastal anti-ship missile radar briefly powers up. The cruiser's electronic warfare suite isolates the signal. The range is insufficient, but the activation is noted. Iran still has options, and they are clearly considering them. Beneath the surface, American attack submarines quietly reposition. Their movement never appears on public radar screens, but their presence changes the entire equation. If missile boats push too close, if coastal batteries lock targets, if aircraft suddenly appear, the response timeline will be measured in seconds. 6:24. No missiles launched, no aircraft airborne. The fast attack craft reduce speed. They are not turning back yet, but they are no longer charging forward. Iranian coastal radars step down from fire control intensity to routine surface search sweeps. This is not de-escalation, it is recalibration. Inside the Combat Information Center, the analysis becomes clearer. The torpedo attack was not random. It was a probe, a calculation, a test. Iran gambled that 2 torpedoes from a low-cost submarine might force a U.S. carrier either to withdraw or to overreact. Either outcome could have created a powerful narrative, but neither happened. The carrier did not retreat, and the U.S. Navy did not launch a barrage toward the coast. Instead, it responded proportionally, decisively, and then stopped. The absence of immediate retaliation creates tension of its own. Retaliation would simplify the story. Strike followed by counterstrike. Headlines: clear sides. Instead, the strike group does something harder. It resumes operations. Flight deck activity increases again. 2 FA-18 fighters launch on a routine patrol. Not configured for attack, but armed. Visible on radar. Visible from shore. The message is unmistakable. We are still here. 6:40. Iranian Naval Command issues no public statement. No claims, no footage, no victory broadcast. That silence carries weight. Acknowledging the loss of the submarine would mean acknowledging the attack itself. And acknowledging the attack could invite consequences. So the water remains quiet. But the tension does not disappear. The strike group subtly adjusts its posture. Combat air patrol extends farther inland. Electronic warfare aircraft shift their listening arcs. Cruisers refine ballistic missile tracking lanes. The carrier continues forward at steady speed. Measured dominance. The unexpected outcome here is not the destruction of the submarine. That was tactical. The unexpected outcome is restraint. Iran fired first, lost a submarine worth roughly $58 million, and did not escalate further, because escalation now risks asymmetric losses. And asymmetric losses favor the side with layered defenses, powerful surveillance systems, and air superiority overhead. 7:05. The fast attack craft change course and head back toward port. No announcement, no ceremony, just a quiet shift in bearing. Coastal radar emissions drop back to routine patterns, surface search only, no fire control spikes. The escalation window begins to close. The carrier strike group does not pursue. It does not move closer to the coast. It simply maintains distance, maintains readiness, maintains presence. Because sometimes, in naval strategy, the most powerful move is not pressing an advantage. It is demonstrating that you could and choosing not to. By now, the oil slick has nearly vanished. The debris field has scattered beyond recognition. But the strategic calculation has changed. Iran tested, the U.S. Navy responded, and the ocean did not erupt into a wider conflict. Not because it couldn't, but because control held. And control is the rarest weapon at sea. 7:30 local time. The carrier strike group settles back into a controlled rhythm. No smoke on the horizon, no missile trails, no follow-on launches. Flight operations continue. A pair of FA-18 Super Hornets roll forward, connect to the catapult, and launch cleanly into the morning sky. The catapult systems cycle with mechanical precision. Deck crews move with the same pace they had before 5:17. Because the carrier was never struck. And that fact matters. Below deck, analysts finalize the engagement record. 5:17, first torpedo detected. 5:19, both torpedoes diverted. 5:27, hostile submarine neutralized. 10 minutes from detection to destruction. No hull damage, no casualties, no escalation beyond proportional force. Every sonar recording, radar trace, and acoustic signature is archived and transmitted securely. Attribution is no longer speculation. Material composition, propulsion characteristics, noise profiles, and recovered debris fragments all align with Iranian Ghadir-class construction, a state asset, now gone. The strike group commander gathers a short operational update. No speeches, no victory language, just a decision. Maintain defensive posture. Continue mission. Because dominance at sea is not proven through spectacle. It is proven through continuity. The carrier returns to its scheduled operations. Helicopters rotate back into routine anti-submarine patrols. Destroyers settle into standard screening positions. Beneath the formation, subsurface escorts widen their silent patrol patterns, stretching unseen beneath the group. The formation holds together, steady, intact, unshaken. Strategically, the message travels farther than any missile ever could. Iran made the first move. Iran lost an active submarine. The United States did not strike coastal infrastructure, did not hit ports, and did not widen the fight. Instead, it absorbed the attack, removed the immediate threat, and stayed exactly where it was. That restraint changes the balance, because any further escalation would now require Iran to act again from a position of reduced capability. 8:10. International shipping lanes remain open. Commercial vessels that change course during the torpedo alert begin moving again under quiet escort. Merchant captains receive the kind of confirmation that never reaches headlines but matters everywhere. The carrier strike group remains fully operational and fully capable. Financial markets will never see the sonar logs, but they will see stability. And in contested waters, stability is its own form of power. Inside the carrier's Combat Information Center, one display continues replaying the engagement timeline in compressed form. 2 inbound weapons, 2 successful countermeasures, 1 confirmed hostile platform removed from the fight. There is no celebration, because naval conflict is not measured in applause. It is measured in disasters prevented. The Iranian naval network remains active, but controlled. No retaliatory missile launches, no aircraft testing the strike group's airspace. Coastal radar patterns remain inside surveillance thresholds. Signals intelligence detects a brief spike in internal Iranian communications, then a rapid drop back into silence. Assessment updated. The oil slick marking the submarine's final position grows thinner as currents spread it wider across the surface. Visible evidence fades, but the acoustic record does not. Every second of the encounter is preserved in US systems. Every engagement sharpens the model. Every refined model sharpens the next response. If another torpedo is ever launched, it will face a Navy that has already learned from this one. By late morning, the event will likely be summarized in careful, controlled language. Hostile underwater contact engaged and neutralized in accordance with rules of engagement. No mention of price, no mention of spectacle. But the strategic community will understand exactly what it means. A low-cost asymmetric platform attempted to challenge a capital ship. The result was decisive, disciplined, and contained. The carrier's deck vibrates as another launch cycle begins. Jets lift eastward into clear sky. From a distance, the strike group looks almost unchanged. But beneath the surface, the equation is different now. A $58 million submarine lies silent on the seabed. The aircraft carrier it targeted is still launching aircraft. That imbalance is the real story. 10 o'clock local time, condition 2. The posture eases gradually towards standard readiness. Not complacency, never complacency, just controlled normalization, because the mission never stopped, and it is not stopping now. At 5:17, a torpedo entered the water. At 5:27, the sea closed over a submarine. By 7:30, the carrier was launching aircraft again. No blazing headline moment, no dramatic televised retaliation. Just precision, just discipline, just presence. And in modern naval operations, sustained presence after an attack is the clearest signal of all. The strike group does not leave. It does not hesitate. It keeps moving forward. Because the most striking part of this story is not what happened beneath the waves. It is what did not happen after. No wider war, no uncontrolled escalation, only a message written in sonar, steel, and restraint. You made the first move. We remained.